Well, here it is. We are facing elimination in Game 2 of the NL wildcard round. The Mets getting completely humiliated from the start. Never was in the game. Lost 7-1 with Scherzer on the mound, coughing up 7 runs. Not ideal at all. Today, Jacob deGrom takes the mound for the Mets against Blake Snell for the Padres. It's win or go home right now. And also, it could be, and we don't know, the final game that Jacob deGrom pitches in a Mets uniform. Lots of emotions are going to spread throughout the night. I can tell you, I can definitely tell. But we're here for the game. And welcome to the show for those who are just joining us, for those who are watching on replay. Welcome to Mets Weekly, presented by Empire Sports Media. It's Game 2. Let's go.
Two, Vader. Swings and misses, strike three. He struck him out. 5 Met pitchers combined for the second no-hitter in New York Mets history.
Now, I would love to recap what happened from last night, but we did that pretty well in the post game. And also, I really don't want to talk about it because that was definitely humiliating. That sucked. But it's time to get over it. And the only way they can is winning, because winning heals all. They've definitely put themselves in a position where they've put their entire backs against the wall, constantly faltering ever since, I'd say, second week of September. And in the direction that we're going in, I'm definitely not feeling confident. I can tell you that right now. How do you feel, man?
Yeah, obviously last night, I saw a lot of debating about what would you rather had, the Mets the way the Cardinals lost or the way the Mets lost yesterday. And crazy enough, I would prefer the Met way because I can't imagine Edwin Diaz being the guy that blows up in the ninth inning, and I just couldn't imagine that. So yes, it was a kick in the nuts, but it was almost like kind of just, takes the pain quickly away. And you're not like, oh, no, it's just they killed you. And now, now you're focused on tonight with Jake. And, obviously most nights you would feel confident with Jacob deGrom on the mound. I don't know. Do these last Braves, obviously the Braves series, the A's start, Max is now I still trusted Jacob deGrom, but I'm not feeling like I did every other year of when Jacob deGrom's on the mound. There's just something that if this is it, this is the prove it game. And there's no more you can do this is, you want the big money that you want in the off season. This is it. And I think he has every ability to do it. If the slider actually has control, he has great numbers against San Diego throughout his career. Really nobody in that lineup has hit well against Jacob deGrom. I mean, who does? Except the Atlanta Braves. But it just, everything looks to go our way, but it's the Mets in the playoffs. Yeah. It usually never does, and especially if the offense continues to score 1 run a game, it doesn't look good.
I'll tell you one thing, Matt. You're not being negative. You're just telling the truth here. They have not given us a reason to believe otherwise. And that's really just kind of how it's felt since, again, like I said, the second week of September. I really, and I hopefully they can turn it around tonight with Jake on their mound, with a lot of things possibly going their way. They've hit Blake Snell pretty well.
Yep.
But all I can really say is that it just feels like a downward spiral. It really has felt like a downward spiral, whether it was going very slowly, or if you want to see it go all fast at once, being swept by the Braves. And I mean, they definitely put themselves in a bad position. And even though they were so strong to begin the season, that's probably what kept them in the postseason with how amazing the Braves played. I still just don't feel it. I just, in the trend that it's just going in, I feel like this is it. I just don't know what to say. And the fact that it has to And the fact that it could possibly end with Jake on the mound, that sucks even more. I mean, you and me, I know, we haven't known each other our entire lives, but we know that we grew up watching Jacob deGrom. This was somebody that, whether you idolized him or not, he's, him and Nimmo, both of them, the Mania boys, the only ones left, right? I mean, and this could be Nimmo's final game. We haven't talked about that yet. So,
yeah,
I don't know, but emotions aside, because there's going to be a lot pouring out the entire night. A lot has to go right. That's all I got to say. They have to hit. Jacob deGrom has to be Jacob deGrom, and that's pretty much it. Of course, yeah. Diaz leaving as well as a free agent. Yeah, I mean,
and that's the perfect example. Yeah. If Jake's not pitching and they're not hitting with wrist, like Jake can go out and give you 19 deGrom starts. The 19 one run or less. You're not hitting with wrist. You're still going to lose. So the point is the offense has got to wake up. Blake Snell is very walkable. I mean, yes, he's had a great month of September. He's pitching his best ball of the season coming down the stretch, which of course he is. But we know what Blake Snell in the postseason. He's going in the 5th inning. And if you work pitch counts, which this guy likes to nibble around the corner, he's not like Darvish. Darvish was just punching strikes, just throwing them down the middle, punching the strikes all the time. He's going to nibble. And especially this should be a good matchup for the Mets, the fact that they're, again, selective at the plate. If they go out and grind them out and get them out in the 3rd inning, they got to put runs up. And that's again, it's a lefty. And, obviously the DH situation will come up at some point today in the pregame because we got to talk about it. Yeah. The elephant in that room. But, they got to hit. And, we gave Pete a lot of shit because me and you have both said Pete is either going to be one of the best postseason performers or he's going to be horrific. And last night was horrific. So, and we've said it all year. The offense goes as far as Lindor and Alonso. Both of them got to step up. Lindor does not have good numbers career against Snell. Alonso does. Right? Yeah, Alonso does. Lindor doesn't. Lindor right-handed, you would think we both like Lindor better off on the right side. But there's just those two guys got to carry. Nimmo, Marte, and Escobar last night were the only guys that hit. And you can't. I mean, it would be nice if those are the complementary pieces to one of the big two doing their job. So again, if they got to get on the board and not just all run, they have to start throwing crooked numbers up because again, one swing, boom, game's tied. A walk and a blast. If these one run, these 1-run innings, you're seeing it in every game. Home runs matter, and the Mets don't hit homers. We all know this. But if you're going to do that, you got to hit with wrist, and that's just they've done it majority of the year. But in September, it's just like they just turn back to the 2019 version where they're just not hitting with wrist, or 2020 version, which they get all these base runners and leave them stranded.
Top 4. Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso. That was definitely a combination that worked throughout most of the season. And for some reason, we've seen that either switched up or maybe because Marte was hurt. But that was the top 4 that definitely executed the most offense. You obviously had Jeff McNeil after that, keeping that rally going with Mark Canha. So you're seeing that top 6 or whatever that had that winning combination. So again, I don't like having a different lineup every day, which sucks, but I mean, you do speak of the lineup, that top 7 working together in whatever combination. I mean, they can get it done. We've seen them get it done. We have not seen them get it done on the big stage, but I don't know. Again, it's basically the same thing with what we said. If they can't win the big one, they haven't proven us otherwise, and they have proven that they can do with this this combination throughout the entire season. Now, I just said something about the top 6. Let's get to the man batting 8th for a second.
Yep.
Why?
Because I know why. And if a la Frank About Sports, when he was good, or let me rephrase that, when he was decent, these numbers happen. He's hit 3. He's 3 for 7 off Snell, a homer, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, an 857 slug with a 1400 OPS against Blake Snell in his career. That's why he's in the lineup. My question is, and again, you're obviously going to say defense, and it's reason for defense. Then you got to put Alvarez behind the plate. I cannot have Nito and Ruff hit 8-9 in this lineup. As much as Jake prefers Nito defensively, and obviously should take pride. If you're putting Darren Ruff in the lineup in the 8 spot, you got to put Alvarez in the 9 behind the plate. I cannot deal with those two,
especially when you have McNeil and Escobar, who have been the two that have been getting on base the most consistently since the beginning of September. And like minus Marte, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. He said he wanted to save the catchers. I understand that, but what value are they really? What value is that extra catcher giving you? You know what I mean? Like, if any combination, the most value you're going to get is with the bat with Francisco Alvarez. Like, that's it. Tomas Nito, James McCann, not going to give you anything. So all I can say is that the fact that we have not seen Ruff in a while, we know he's cold. We absolutely know he's cold.
Oh, but we know he's going to, especially, he knows how bad he's been. This is the game he breaks out and he has it's 2 homers and
exactly. This is
what in the playoffs. This is what the story is exactly, and this is how
again, like we
playoff
said,
baseball happens
with what they've proven. Like what we've said, which sucks that you have to say this, but with what they have proven, what is he doing here? You know what I mean? Like. I don't know. I get it. The numbers that he has and this and that, but New York's a different nature. We already know this. This has something to play in with it. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the Darren Ruff thing. The fact that they are dying on this hill.
They gave up 4 things for it. That's why. Just like the Yankees with IKF. They gave up multiple assets for a garbage player, and they're trying to make it look like they were right. It's just a fact, and I get it. He's got the numbers against Snell, and again, he could make up for a whole second half of dog poop if he goes out, has 3 RBIs, it's a 3-run homer tonight, and the Mets win 3-0. And especially how baseball works, I wouldn't be surprised because that's just the miracle of baseball. Because baseball is a beautiful game. The dude that you hate the most is going to come up probably with the biggest hit of the season to save the season. That's just how it's going to go.
Yeah.
If you're going to play him, he has the only guy that he's somewhat hit in his career, and he has good numbers against Hader. I didn't look up the numbers against Hader because, I prefer not to see Hader because, Mets win in the 9th, Diaz in the 9th. End this, not to see Josh Hader. But he has good numbers against Hader as well. I have not looked at the exact numbers, but he does have solid numbers against Hader. So that's why he's here. Again, you had a whole second half of nothing. If he hits a 3-run homer or a 3-run double in this game, we'll make up for all of that loss 4 months. But are we banking on that happening? With the ball that's supposed to be cold, the ball's not going to fly like last night. We'll see.
Yeah, nothing went our way yesterday. I think we already said that, but, tough luck or not, Max Scherzer definitely... he just was not himself at all. And with the trend that we saw with, deGrom in his last 2 outings, with, Oakland and Atlanta, again, it's that downward spiral that I'm personally expecting. And I wish I can't expect it. I don't want to expect it, but I do. And I don't know. I think if this is the one game that, gives us the hope again that they can make a run, so be it. But all I can say is that if they win tonight in an amazing battle and then have a similar game in game 3, a similar game to game 1 and game 3, I don't know about that. I don't know. Just don't get our hopes up. That's all I can say. But I'd love to stretch this to game 3. I want to, but it's just, I feel like there's just too many pieces that got to fall into place, and those pieces have just not been falling into place for the last month. So, Joely Rodriguez, we'll get to him in a sec. We'll just talk about him for a second. Off the playoff roster, Walker is added. How do you think that they approach this? Do you think this is a second relief guy, or is he someone that they're planning to give, like, I mean, do you think he will be used tonight? Do you think he'll be used tomorrow to piggyback that? Well, Epler killed. It's showing. Yeah, we didn't do enough. We definitely did not do enough. But I mean, we can just say that over and over and over again. But
it's not going to fix what we have.
With what we have right now, because the trade deadline is definitely passed for a few months now. So there's nothing you can do.
Back to Taco Boy. I think it's a fear if Jake has a third straight. If he can't get through that third time, hell, even second time through, you can't go down 7-0. Like, if he don't have it, get him out. Like, you don't have time to go down 4-0. If he does not have the slider, because that's been the main thing, and not being able to dot the outside edge with the fastball, if he doesn't have his number one stuff, he needs to get out of the game fast, because you cannot let this game get away from you. You got to keep this game close. And it's, we didn't no Trevor Williams on the roster, no Carrasco, and no Walker. We're like, who's the long man here? Like, you don't really have, a la last night, the Mets did a great job, 4 1/3 innings out of the bullpen, 9 strikeouts. Where have you been all year?
The only bright spot, I'd say. I mean,
the only really bright spot.
Yeah.
Trevor May actually knows how to throw strikes and not give up homers. We didn't see Drew Smith or Tyler McGill, but besides the point.
Michael Givens has been really good.
Givens is.
I give him that. I will give him that.
But he's a low leverage guy. He wasn't the guy we needed, but he's the guy we got. Cool. But again, you got to have the flexibility, especially now. You use 4 innings out of your pen. You've used Lugo. You know how Lugo isn't great on back-to-back, being used on back-to-back days. I'm not saying Ty Walker's coming out of the bullpen, but it's just an emergency. Jake has to go 7. Like, he has to give the ball to Ottavino, and then Ottavino to Diaz.
I think what really screwed them was starting Trevor Williams on the last day of the season.
But you had nobody. You had no other options. You had literally, or you kill the bullpen going into the play. That was your two.
No, they didn't start him or whatever. But he could have done the long relief for Scherzer last night. He could have done the long relief for Scherzer last night, but he didn't. To be honest, I mean, to have the bullpen arms just stay loose, have a bullpen game and a game that means absolutely nothing. That's what I wanted on the last day of season. Season's done, whatever. But I think that having Trevor Williams to eat those innings with the concern of deGrom, Scherzer, even Bassett in Atlanta, I mean, you knew that, like, if it needs to be a Trevor Williams game, it needs to be a Trevor Williams game. He's still not on the roster, right? We know he's a reliable bulk type of guy, but they didn't know it.
You knew after.
No, they didn't. They did.
It's like you knew after you knew after the Braves series the games didn't matter. But again, you had to use.
They lost it on.
It was a Saturday, the Monday.
Yeah, they lost in the second game of the season. It was the second game of the series. Yeah, no, the last game.
Well, and you knew it was over.
The last game of the season was Trevor Williams.
Yeah,
right. Mm-hmm. They lost the division in the second game of the series, right? Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, don't have Trevor Williams out there because of the concern of Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer, and now who knows? Bassett has another blow up. I doubt he does. But to be honest, again, downward spiral, who knows what this trends into, but who knows if he'll even get the chance. We don't even know if we're going to win tonight. So, I mean, Blake Snell, we'll talk about Blake Snell for a second. Walk problem. This team likes to walk a lot. Set the table.
Mark Cannon didn't want to do last night. That man had fouled off 9 pitches out of the. Take your walk. No, I'm going to pop up. That's what
Yeah,
he's
I
pissing
mean,
me
was
off.
it in the zone? Was that pitch in the zone?
No,
Did he
he
throw it?
literally he couldn't keep his damn bat behind him because Darvish kept throwing high cutters out of the zone, and he left his bat over the middle of the play. Like, what are you doing? Just take your walk. Besides the point, just get back to Snell. Just
They weren't even
Canner
in striking
pissing me
distance
off.
at that point. So
Yeah, but just Canner just pissing me off lately. But yeah, besides Snell.
yeah, I want them to set the table. Just really set the table. And if Alonso does it, he does it. I mean, that's literally just what we're looking at right now. Okay, so the main guy to watch in the Mets lineup tonight, who is the main guy besides Darren Ruff, who has great numbers against Blake Snell? Who are you picking as your ideal guy to be the top contributor? Who do you feel the most confident with?
And it's a guy we just brought up. He's pissing me off lately, but does have great numbers against Blake Snell. It's Canna. And he has to be. He has to be the second guy. He's batting behind Pete. And so, if Pete doesn't drive in the runs, he's going to be left with the table. Same thing in the Vogelbach spot last night. He's got 5 career games, 4 for 11, 5 walks against Snell. It's great to see.
Yeah.
2 RBIs, 364 BA. A guy that he has seen a decent amount, obviously, with the West Coast when he's playing for the A's, whatever. He's a guy, if Pete does not clean up the job, he's going to have to be, again, the same problem of who's batting behind Pete, who's trying to give him the protection is, what happened there? Oh, sorry, I watched the Blue Jays game on the back, and that was weird. But, yeah, Canna has to be. If Pete doesn't get the job done, it has to be Canna. Because it's the same problem that Frank has said it, I've said it, you've said it. No protection behind Pete is the most valuable position in this lineup. The guy you have to hit at this point. I don't know why Escobar isn't behind Pete, because right now he's the only guy hitting, and you need the protection, and you're just not doing. And you're just sitting there the same. If it's Chungus, if it's McNeil, ride the hot hand behind Alonso, and Canna has to be the guy. I know he's pissed me off lately in September, but obviously after the hot start at end of August, going into September, cooled down a lot. He has to have, if Pete doesn't have the big moments, it's going to lay into his hands. He has the matchup that he likes. He needs to take advantage of it.
I'm going to go with Nimmo. And the reason why I say that is because of just how potent he's been against left-handed pitching this year. And he's had an incredible year against them. Another area that he's improved so much in his game. And all I can say is that we need Nimmo to attack early. We need a Nimmo to set the table, be the first guy on. If he's leading off, he needs to get on. Look to get on. That's what his approach always is, and that's what we need for him to do. Be the Nimmo that draws walks. Be the Nimmo that has been the Nimmo against left-handed pitching. Now, against Snell, I think he's like, what?
3 for 9, 3 for 9, a walk, and an RBI.
Okay. Now, I mean, that's just key matchup, but Nimmo's been fantastic against left-handed pitching, and that's something that I really think is going to be a huge factor here, is how that he gets this offense started off. And that's what I think is going to be it. I would like to get the bottom of the first to be a 0-0 game at the beginning of that. That would be nice, right?
And keep the crowd in the game.
Yes. And, they have the table set for them to have success tonight. They have a lot of hitters that have destroyed Blake Snell. You have to capitalize. And we've said this time and time again, and that's it. We can't just have 2 guys be the main contributor, be the only contributors, and just be stranded on base. That's it. So a lot is on the line tonight. We know, facing elimination. Now, Jacob deGrom, how are you approaching this Padres lineup? Are you going fastball heavy? Are you going slider heavy? Do you mix in the changeup? Do you need more curveballs in there? Should he be the 2-pitch pitcher that he is? Mainly, shall we say? Or does he mix everything in between?
If he's smart and if he was actually watching the game, keep the fastball to a minimum. You got to use your other pitches.
Okay.
If you saw Jake, unless he has the 101, the deGrom fastball, I don't want to see it. If he's dotting the outside corner, like, again, we've said his main gill, if he's working on the black on the outside, okay. And then you can play the slider off it. But obviously ESPN's not trolling, but of course they got to put it out there. Last 3 starts, Jacob deGrom against the Padres, 30 strikeouts, 0 earned runs.
Yeah.
Last 3 starts against San Diego.
But a very different San Diego team.
A very different San Diego Padres.
So,
well, I mean, I guess technically you really could say you can just call Tatis and Soto like equal. They're like both great elite offensive generational.
Josh Bell,
Yeah.
Brandon Drury.
Ass. It's
Respect
again,
Brandon Drury, our best hitter from last
our
year.
best hitter obviously should have been brought back for $200 or whatever he signed with the Reds for. But again, if the fastball, again, we've said it, keep saying or keep ready. If the slider's not there, this is going to be a rough night for Jake. That he has to go into the bag and use the changeups, break the curveball out, bring the sinker. Supposedly he maybe could work on a sinker down the line. Do you need to bring out different weapons if the fastball's not working? Because we saw in Atlanta, if he doesn't have it and the slider's iffy, where it's like he'll maybe occasionally spot it, and then there's just other times he's leaving it up. He's got to get into the bag. He needs to be a pitcher instead of a thrower. He needs to use the other pitches, sequencing, doing anything else. Because if you're just throwing, 2 pitch, I hate using an MLB to show, but like if you're only throwing 2 pitches, they can sit on one and then spit on the other. So that's the kind of the point with Jake. He has to open the bag, the changeup, the curveball, bust it out. Like you just gotta. That's been the biggest problem, and that's what we're seeing the last 2 starts. The fastball's not great, and they're sitting and jumping on the slider. Has them in as sharp, and they're hitting the mistakes. So if it's early, you got to bust the curveball out first pitch. You got to bust the changeup out. Do it, because this is not a time to mess around. If you don't have your A stuff, then if the fastball's not, go to the secondary stuff. It's that short and sweet.
It's kind of a different criteria with Jake because, to be honest with him, it's whatever feels the best coming off his hand. That's what you need to prioritize. Because we already know how Jake is mechanically, and we know that like how he feels following through. He knows if he's going to get a good result or not with a pitch. He's talked about uncompetitive pitches constantly, and he's talked about a lot of those pitches in these last few outings. So whatever feels the best, that's what I'm going to say. That's it. And I really just, I'm praying that he turns this around for us. And I really hope he does. Because we all know winning heals all. But we're facing elimination. It has definitely not been the funnest team to watch recently. But we're not done yet. Someone's got to tell this team that they have a game today. And that would be nice. So, any other notes that we have that we want to check off here? Because
yeah, send a certain person a link if he wants to get an extra opinion in here if you want.
Yeah.
But again, it's just the bullpen was nasty from the Padres, but even they gave you opportunity. You just didn't take advantage of it. Starling Marte, back in the 2 spot, which is something we should bring up. Another guy, great numbers against Blake Snell, 5 for 15. Homer, RBI, does have 5 strikeouts, whatever. He's back in the normal spot, and we got, like you said, the normal lineup for 90% of the season. Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso. And he's been the best hitter against them for the Mets against left-handed pitching. If he's the spark that you need, he didn't work last night, even though he had 2 hits, him and Escobar at the bottom of the lineup were the only guys that seemed to show up. Again, he could be another big X factor. Like, let's say a miracle that the bottom of the lineup maybe produces now having Marte in the 2 spot, where he's just one of these guys in the big moments. He's one of the more big game moment type hitters. It would definitely could be a very, having him back in the 2 spot, getting him more ABs, not in the 6 spot, could be maybe a major thing for us offensively. And maybe it's the key. Just getting Marte back in the normal spot, and then we're back to the normal run-producing, grinded-out offense that we've been until September, before he got hurt.
I mean, I really hope so. I mean, that they have way too many opportunities, and I just don't. I don't know. I don't know what the confidence level is with this. Frank, how do you feel going into this game? Is this suck, or is
Does
it?
this feel like
does it-
73 or 69? What are your feels?
Oh, well, it definitely doesn't feel like 69. I mean, that was the miracle Mets. I always had good confidence in them because, when it came to Seaver and Kuzman, there wasn't a game where Tom Seaver was giving up 7 runs all via the long ball in the big playoff game. So we have very high expectations for Max. We have very high expectations for Jake, and it's time for them to get the job done. Jake is going to have to pick up the slack because Max wasn't able to get it done. I hope this isn't deGrom's last start as a Met. I mean, we'll see, but it is a possibility. I think, if it's an ugly game, you definitely have to go back to the drawing board a little bit, because if you get blown out both games in the playoffs, it really just – you won 101 games for what? I mean, it's just kind of one of those situations where do you want to be kind of stuck in the middle, so to speak? Hard to say with a 101-win team. But, like I said in Mets Weekly a couple of days ago, now you're in the postseason, 101 wins are gone. Everybody's 0-0. Now, in this case, you're 0-1. So whatever you did all those months season doesn't matter now. It's just what you do right now is all that really matters. And if nobody's getting the job done, then you really got to readdress and think about what you want to do. I will say a bit of good news, and that I thought was very interesting when I look at the lineup construction yesterday and today. It looks like there's a pretty good chance that James McCann will not be on this team next year. I think the fact that even with McCann having good numbers against Darvish and against Snell, they still didn't use him, went with Nito both games. That gives you a very, very good indicator of how Buck Showalter feels about Tomas Nito right now. Because in the regular season, you can alternate all you want, give McCann the reps, but he's telling you, do or die. The biggest games, I want Nito. I don't want McCann. So the fact that Buck Showalter is telling you that, I think is a good sign. The fact that Francisco Alvarez is already here is a good sign. So if they just want to cut ties and have just Nito and Alvarez next year, I think that the potential of that happening is much higher now after seeing the way they've gone about it in this short series.
Can you promise me that's true, though?
I can't promise you anything, but I'm saying that based off what I see, I think it's certainly a much higher possibility than I originally thought maybe a week or two ago. Because here's the thing, is that like if you weren't going to start McCann against the guys who he has good numbers with, you're never going to start him at this point. You know what I mean? It's like, then why is he even here if you're not going to use him?
I mean, they also tagged along
the very few matchups that he has, you're not even using him. So it's like, well, what are we doing then?
They also put I'm sure he will. They also added the 20-year-old with no experience onto this team as well for the postseason.
In the biggest games of the year.
In the biggest games of the year. So, well, I hope not. I really hope not, but if it has to come down to it, just let it rip, Big Chicken. Let it rip.
Jameson, and then you got to say 75 beautiful things about Jameson.
50.
Come on,
sweetheart.
I'm pretty sure on tape you said it was 75. Frank, did I not? Is he? I think he said 75.
Yeah, and then post game you're like, oh well, he hit it 100. Stop pulling my.
I'm pretty sure you said 75. But all right, what else? Oh, yeah, we got to get we have to hear Frank. Darren Ruff. How you feel?
Not good. But again, it's kind of like we talked about with McCann, but he has these numbers. Like, this is what he was brought here to do. If you can't get it done, I mean, what is the alternative at this point? Because we're not going to use Vogelback. We're not going to use Guillorme. We're not using Terrence Gore. Like, and Buck said that he wants to keep the catcher spot he wants to keep Alvarez on the bench in case they want to do anything with the catchers. If he wants to pinch it for the catchers or something like that. So, that's why it was Ruff over Alvarez.
I think we could have used Terrence Gore tonight, you know?
Again, we're going to need him tonight. Game-winning run. Tell me.
Sal Licata jinxed us. To be honest, I mean, sure, but
No, Dick's Sporting Goods.
the dude
jinxed us.
said it in, what was it? June?
I think it was
Not even
after the
before the
4
All-Star
o'clock.
break. This dude said it was over.
Beginning of June.
When
You
we were 10.5 up, that's when he said it.
Don't say that. But he does. So, whatever. He wanted to be controversial. He wanted the spotlight. Well, you got it.
Yeah, I mean,
And I can't wait until you get
attention.
booted out of SNY.
Yeah.
But
that's what it's all about. Oh my God.
Come on, man. Stop
How
with this
when I come in here, they follow me. What the hell?
Yo, they like the old man.
Maybe I want to find love if the Mets win tonight. Right?
Maybe if they win tonight, maybe. No, they're better when they lose. They're way better when they lose.
Hits with Risp. That's my
Risp.
key. Hits with Risp. Y'all having a post-game show?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Win or
It'll be
Absolutely.
simulcasted on every channel. We'll be on my channel too, because Frank's getting all the views. I need some views. If they lose,
wow.
if they lose, then yeah, they win. No views.
Andrew's trying to run a show same time as me. Wonder
Hey.
when that happens. Anyways, the three. Yeah, I think the guy, like, we can talk about everybody. The main guy I'm looking at is Lindor. I think that we talk so much about how many of the other guys in the starting lineup have little to no playoff experience. Like, Lindor has probably the most big game. There's one guy that actually played in a World Series game, started in a World Series game, has big postseason hits in his career. Like, they gave him so much money to be prepared for these moments, these games. Like, this is why you made the trade. This is why you gave him the money. When we talk about Matt Scherzer, for the big money games, your big money players have to step up. Lindor, he got hit in the back foot in the first inning yesterday, and then that was it. In the Braves series, not too much going on. The rest of the season, did a ton of great things. But like I said earlier, right now, doesn't matter. We really need him to step up in this big game because we know how much the Mets struggle against left-handed pitching. We all love righty Lindor, much more balanced, much more of a pure hitter. We really need him to step up in this game. So he's the guy that, you know what, we could talk about so many other guys, but he is the big, big piece that we're looking at because now that he's batting third again, if Nimmo does his job getting on, I know Marte will get on at least once or twice. And if Alonso's still going to be struggling because he's too nervous and he's throwing the bat and he's striking out and he doesn't know his approach right now, Lindor's got to be that other piece that steps up because, like Andrew said, Canada's been struggling a little bit. I mean, McNeil's not batting until 6, so those guys probably won't be on base by the time he's up. So Lindor in that 3 hole is really the guy that I'm circling.
I think it's just you forced yourself into the scenario where it just has to be Pete, in my opinion. I think there's nothing you can do. I mean, he's just the main guy, especially with no protection around him tonight, with Mark Canha batting 5th and Darren Ruff there probably as your secondary power bat. Eduardo Escobar, stat-wise with home runs, but we know he doesn't have this, very intimidating power. He's it. And if he doesn't perform, he doesn't perform. But can you please, if you don't perform, can you please shut up in the media interviews, please? Like, what is this? Okay. He said a lot of stupid things. Okay. He's Pete. Very stupid. He's not smart. Not a smart guy.
Sandwich.
Poop sandwich. All this stupid shit. You can't throw a gasoline into the fire.
Nope.
You can't do that. And listen, I understand New York fans are crazy. They shouldn't act the way that they act 24/7. Yeah. But you can't do that. Like, you can't just say, this is fun. Because that gives me the idea, oh, well, we're losing? This is fun. That's great. Well, it hasn't been fun for the past month. So I don't know. Mets will choke again. Well, they haven't proved us anything otherwise. So again.
The other guy who's a really big guy we got to look at is Nimmo. Is this his last game as a Met? I mean,
yeah,
it's possible. Yeah. So if he,
the Mania boys.
Yeah, if he wants to be, Scott Boras' client, ask for a lot of money, this would be a pretty big game to get a really big hit. I mean, we can't just have ground outs to second base. I mean, I know his thing is, more table setting, walks, things like that, but I need something. You know what I mean? Whether it's a stolen base, like I have to. If it's a big catch, like we need something from Nimmo today.
He's been incredible. That's why I picked him as one of the key hitters earlier. Of who I like in this lineup. Nimmo's been great against lefties all year. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
We need him to attack early. We need him to be on base every time he's up. I need every single time that this guy gets up, whether he walks, whether he gets a hit, whether he needs to just be Nimmo and get on base. Just get on base, set the table, make Blake Snell work out of the stretch because he's so bad from it, and go on from there. The top 4 in this lineup, that was our biggest winning formula at the beginning of the year. Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso. So give us that winning formula tonight. Does it suck that there's no power protection behind Alonso? And that probably would have made the lineup good from 1 through 9, maybe? Yes. But there's no looking back now. You have to win tonight. You don't have a choice. If you don't, you're going home. You're done. Even though they are home right now, technically. But
and I love how yesterday we didn't bring this up yesterday, but they were talking about Josh Bell. He's really been struggling lately, but you know what?
Yeah.
He's been good against the Mets, and boom, Josh Bell is just hitting home runs and going opposite field, deep flyouts. And it's like, wonder if he could have helped us. And it's like, no, because Mike Rizzo hates the Mets, so it's just like can't have that as our power protection. We got Darren Ruff instead. Meanwhile, Josh Bell, a guy that could go both ways, being a switch hitter. It's just like, along with Juan Soto, the fact that the Padres pulled that off, bonkers.
AJ Preller, baby.
Hi, Natalia. Hello, everybody in here. Leave a like. All of our Mets fans, Braves fans, Phillies fans, Dodgers fans, Yankee fans, everybody. We appreciate everyone.
Bad Bunny fans. Oh yeah, look.
White Rabbit fans.
White Rabbit.
Leonard Skinner fans.
Yeah, no. I mean, is this the last time we hear Leonard Skinner at Citi Field? Both for Nimmo and deGrom. I mean, it's Leonard Skinner night. I mean, this is a big one.
This is gonna.
There we go, Mets fans to the end. That's what I'm talking about.
There we go.
There we go. As the Mariners trying to come a little comeback.
Are they making the comeback? Oh my gosh.
It's 9-6 in the
Oh boy, got a ball game now. It's Paul Sewald. Oh, that was probably
that was hysterical.
Tonight, that would be the one good thing that happened for me.
Paul Sewald eating shit.
Sewald just, oh my gosh, hitting batters, walking batters. Oh, hits. You couldn't get out of the inning.
Thoughts on the Guardians game? It was a great pitcher's duel. It was that shit to the end.
So long. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go outside for a little bit. I was like, let's just go out for a little bit. I was like, the game is probably over. I came back. I'm like, this game is still on and nobody is watching. Why are they still playing?
Again, like these are 2 really good pitching staffs, right? Yes, Cleveland and Tampa, but no runner on second in extra innings reminded me so much of the 2013 Mets-Marlins game that went into 20 innings. You don't remember? Nobody remembers that?
It reminded me of when they had Mets-Cardinals that went like 6.
It was the Cardinals, yeah.
That one
the broadcast cut out for like 10 minutes.
Martin
gets his first hit. Oh, the days, folks, the days. Oh yeah, no, the 20 inning game against the Marlins. Daniel Murphy warning track flyout to end the game. Ed Lucas catching it. Still the bane of existence for the 2013 Mets. But
why are we talking about the Dark Ages? It was definitely refreshing. As there's a guy doing a shoey on TV right now. Nice. Definitely with not having the like you said the extra base runners. Like, oh, I forgot baseball's like this. This is weird. And I'm like. And like, I don't like. I think prefer the runner on second because I don't need a 15 game.
I like it now, to be
I'm
honest.
okay with it. I kind of, and it's like you still get your strategy.
And that's because
old people yell about, oh, there's no strategy in the game. Just you don't. If you throw up a 0, do you bunt? Whatever.
I like it now, and that is because of the Mets Marlins game, that 20 inning game.
I mean,
that's why.
Like, I don't have a problem with long games.
I think
but
the
it's
game
like,
has adjusted very well to it. They definitely, and that I think that they need to. I kind of like it. I'm okay with it, but
and
They're
Seattle, the
I didn't
tying
like-
run at the
I
plate.
didn't like what it did for situational relievers. I didn't like what it did with the 3-batter minimum rule. It kind of contradicted itself, but it kind of has evened itself out. I think it's a rule that it needs to somewhat stay, especially with teams that hit the ball harder, they run harder, they play harder than ever. You know, a player's stamina is going to run out a lot quicker. Like, that's just like simple sports science for you. Nobody remembers sports science.
No, that
Amazing
show
shit.
sucked. That show sucked.
That was amazing.
Of course, you would like
well,
the
if you
nerds.
like numbers, you like numbers. But I kind of like it. I personally like it now. Now I do, because I understand why. But
Here's
listen,
from
Manfred
Mara.
Ball, you can't do.
This got me interesting. Well, what if the runner started at first? And that's kind of like a happy medium.
I think they're trying to avoid the double play.
Yeah,
Because you just bring in your best sinker baller to get a ground ball.
ground ball, your best ground ball guy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, a double play isn't always the case.
You know what would be a fun rule? We should have the runner at second, but your backup catcher has to be the runner. Just the fattest guy on the lineup has to be the runner. That's fair.
I think.
But then
I don't know. I think past the 15th inning,
the
tennis
go
balls.
Yeah.
Use tennis balls.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say if they wanted to do it like past the 15th inning or
Use a
14th
racket
inning,
ball.
you could have the
Racket
go
ball.
runner. I'd be okay with that. But as you know, just an old school fan,
Like, I get it. Like,
I like the traditional format.
and like I know old people are like, oh, they're taking out every the strategy in baseball. The ghost runner does give you the strategy that you want. Like, let's say, like I said, you throw up a 0. Now in the bottom half, you bunt. Do you go 3 guys swing?
Yeah.
Like, do you
Bunt
send
the
up
guy
somebody to
over.
bunt? Like, you get your strategy there, and you get a little more action. Like, I hated it. Like in 20, I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I hate this. I've grown on it because I'm like, I don't want to sit through.
I like the
20-inning game
playoff
again.
intensity it has. I like the playoff intensity it has personally, but
The only rule I like is a 3-batter minimum, only because there was a point where it just got too crazy. I mean, because it didn't need to be a thing when starting pitchers were going deeper into games. You're only using a couple pitchers a game, but eventually it just got to the point where it was so unbearable that because the game was going even longer that it was very hard to watch.
And again, you can have
the same thing with the mound visit. That's
that.
the other rule I like, the mound visit limit. Because also the game was just dragging on and it really didn't need to.
But you also did have a point to counteract that because they didn't use as many bullpen arms as they used to with this unlimited substitution type of thing. But
and the other thing is most of these games they had the crazy is in September.
I remember like 4 substitutions.
Yes, that was the other thing that they shortened their roster to 40. That was getting insane.
And that's why everybody hated it. That's why they got rid. But like now you don't go up to 40-man rosters in September. So why do we still have the 3-batter minimum? Because it would bring more value to guys like Joely Rodriguez. Okay, one batter, you're walking the first game, you're out of here. Like it. Yeah. I would love that rule gone because it would value the loogie back. Like if the Mets would actually get 1v1 Freeman against Harper or somebody against Harper, somebody against Olsen, whatever. Just to get that one dude. I don't like the 3-batter minimum rule. I liked it to begin with, but I'm like, this screws the Mets over a lot.
I like
Joely Rodriguez and guys.
Minimum. I like a 15
no,
minimum rule.
I don't want any minimums. I want no limits. I want managers play matchups, play the numbers.
Nobody out. Oh
they got Frazier got on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Let's go. Oh, Jordan Romano really about to blow this.
I mean,
so. Do we have anything else? Yeah, we got.
He says that we're very cold, so I don't know if he's referring to the Mets or maybe like where anybody that's at the game right now that's cold. I don't know.
It's supposed to be cold up there. They were saying
forget pitch clocks.
Oh, gosh.
That's
the thing. There's going to be plenty more next year with just interesting rules.
The giant bases. The giant bases.
Well, that's needed. No, I'm perfectly fine with that. We need player safety.
Bro, why are shoes on the Mariners' heads? What is this? Mariners fans got their shoes on their heads. What is this?
It's a rally cap.
It's a rally shoe at this point. All right. We got any last-minute discussions? We're 10 minutes to, not first pitch, 20 minutes to first pitch. Frank, any last minute things you want to put out? Juju or anything?
I mean, I just hope that we get, to play another game tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, it would be frustrating to have 101 wins just to play 2 extra days. You know what I mean? It's just like we want to actually be in the playoffs and have multiple playoff series and things like that. You don't want to go down like this. I mean, this would just leave such a bad taste in the mouth. After we thought, fine, this was a different year, finally turned things around. That's not how you want to go out. And I'm still interested that, like, I don't think we've seen this combination before with Ruff batting eighth. Like, again, I think this is a brand new lineup, which, again, postseason, should we be doing new lineups? I don't think so, but I mean, that's just how they've been going about it.
I like the top four.
At least that's been reestablished. Yeah.
And that kind of just comes with the fact that they don't have someone to protect Alonso, so they have to mix and match from 5 to 9. But Jacob deGrom stat line, let's give a prediction. Andrew, I'll start with you. What do you got? You think he's shelled, he's gone and washed? What do you think?
I'll be nice. 7, 1 run, 13 strikeouts.
Okay. Frank, what do you?
That's more generous than me. I was going 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts.
All right. I'll go with 7 innings, 0 runs, and let's go with 11 strikeouts. I think he's going to pitch a little bit more contact today. I mean, it is realistic.
They should be able to beat
strikeouts because it is realistic. 13 strikeouts because we put him on blast a lot for that Atlanta game, and he definitely wasn't himself in that Atlanta game, but he did get 11. What was it, 11 or 12? I don't know.
Yeah. 11 in the Braves series. Yeah. And like I said earlier in the ESPN, 30 strikeouts in the last 3 games.
Mode, anything can happen.
So
anything can happen in playoff mode. So. Last final thoughts, Frank, Andrew, anything?
I hope he has his slider, because like Andrew said, we saw the Padres tee up on the fastballs. And you know what? If he's not throwing 102, I mean, if he wants to bring out the change, he wants to bring out the curveball, he's got to consider it. I mean, or he could kind of go with the approach of you could start off heavy fastball slider first time round, then second time round you could throw first pitch curveball. You just got to try to give them something different each at bat so they can't, that third time round. Because that's the thing we talked about with deGrom, like that 5th inning, 6th inning, third time through the order. Lately, ever since he's come back from the injury, he has struggled in that aspect. So, all these Padres, they're going to be swinging. They're going to be looking to ambush him. They're one of those teams that they're looking for the long ball. They are not looking to draw walks, other than maybe Juan Soto. All these other guys, Profar, Machado, they're very, very aggressive hitters. So hopefully he could use that to his advantage.
I'm hoping we have an adrenaline moment of the playoffs, and he's able to gas 101, 102, and he will be
because
able
if
to
he
do
was
that.
saving it, now is the time to unleash it. This is
exactly.
Win or go home. So he hasn't thrown 102 in a few starts now. So if he was saving it, now's the time to let it loose.
I don't know what it was. Again, we talked about the blister, but and the grip on the ball can suck, but whatever is whatever. So we're gonna hop off here, guys. We'll see you guys for the post game. Jake, I hope this isn't your last game with the Mets. If it is, then it was a pleasure, and we'll be more emotional about it in the post game. But other than that, let's go Mets. Win or go home. It's Jacob deGrom versus Blake Snell, and should start in about 10 minutes. So we'll see you guys next time. Let's go Mets. And we'll see you guys in the post game.